Hi guys, how are you doing? Today I want to tell you about my grandfather's daily routine.
Hi, we're fine. Thanks, of course. We'd love to hear about your grandfather's routine. What time does we wake up?
My grandfather wakes up early at 5:30 in the morning. He likes to start his day calmly.
That's pretty early. What does he do after he gets up?
After he gets up, he does light exercise for about 20 minutes. Then she showers and gets dressed.
That sounds like a healthy routine. What time do you eat breakfast?
He usually eats breakfast around 7 a.m. He likes to drink coffee and eat toast. He likes to drink coffee and eat toast with butter and jam.
And what does he do after breakfast?
After breakfast, he goes for a walk in the nearby park. He loves being outdoors and enjoying nature.
That sounds like a relaxing activity. What time does he go home?
He comes home around 11 a.m. He then sits in his favorite chair. Then he sits in his favorite chair and reads the newspaper for a while.
Sound like a nice way to stay informed. What does he do after he reads the newspaper?
After reading the newspaper, he eats lunch at 1 p.m. He always prepares a nutritious meal.
And what happens after lunch?
After lunch, around 2:30 in the afternoon, he relaxes and listens to classical music. He has liked that music for years.
That sounds like a quiet afternoon. What does he do for dinner?
For dinner, my grandfather usually eats dinner around 7 at night. Sometimes he cooks, but other times he prefers to order takeout.
And what about after dinner?
After dinner, around 8 p.m., he sits in his studio and works on his favorite hobby, painting. He loves to express himself through art.
That sounds like a creative way to spend the evening. What time does he go to bed?
My grandfather usually goes to bed around 10:30 at night. He likes to get a good night's rest so he can be fit the next day.
Thank you for sharing your grandfather's routine.
Yes, thank you for telling us. It's interesting to learn about people's daily routines and they found their own rhythm.
Okay, now I will share with you my brother's daily routine.
Sure, it would be great to know your brother's routine. What time does he start his day?
My brother starts his day at 7 a.m. where he wakes up to the sound of his alarm and gets up quickly.
That's a reasonable time. What does he do after he gets up?
After getting up, he stretches and does some stretching exercise before going to the kitchen to prepare breakfast.
That sounds like a good start. What kind of breakfast does he prefer?
He usually makes a
Uh,
healthy smoothie with fruit and yogurt and oatmeal. He loves that quick and nutritious option?
Sound delicious. So what next in his routine?
After getting up, he stretches and does some stretching exercise before going to the kitchen to prepare breakfast.
That sounds like a good start. What kind of breakfast does he prefer?
He usually makes a healthy smoothie with fried yogurt and oatmeal. He loves having quick and nutritious option.
Sound delicious. So what next in his routine?
After breakfast, he checks his schedule for the day and gets to work. He works from home as a programmer.
That's interesting. How long does he work before he takes a break?
He usually works for about 4 hours before taking a lunch break. He likes to use the time to relax and watch an episode of his favorite show.
Good way to Richard. What does he do in the afternoon?
After his lunch break, he continues working until 5 p.m. Then he takes a short walk to clear his head.
Sounds like a productive routine. What does he do after work?
After work, my brother sometimes get together with friends to play soccer or just relax at home with music.
That sounds like a lot of fun. What does he do for dinner?
For dinner, he cooks a variety of meals, from pasta to roast chicken. He enjoys cooking and experimenting in the kitchen.
What a useful skill. And after dinner,
After dinner, he usually relaxes on the couch and watches a movie or series. He likes to have some downtime.
That sounds like a good end to the day. What time does he go to bed?
Around 11 p.m., he brushes his teeth and gets ready for bed. Sometimes he reads a little before he goes to sleep.
thank you for sharing your brother's routine. He seems to be a person with a well-organized routine.
Yes, thank you for telling us. Finally, I will tell you about my mother's daily routine.
We would love to know more about your mother's routine. What time does she start her day?
My mother starts her day early, around 5:30 in the morning. At that time, she wakes up and stretches a bit in bed before getting up.
That's really early. What does she do after she gets up?
After she gets up, she goes to the kitchen to prepare her uh, breakfast. She usually cooks oatmeal with fresh fruit and drinks a cup of hot tea. She loves that uh, healthy breakfast.
Sounds delicious. So what's next in her routine?
After breakfast, my mother takes a few minutes to review her schedule for the day. She'll freelance graphic designer, so she usually has different projects each day.
That sounds exciting. What time does she start work?
Usually start work around 8:30 in the morning. She works from her home studio, which give her the flexibility to organize her day as she see fit.
And how long does she work before she takes a break?
She usually works for about 3 hours before taking a short lunch break. He uses that time to stretch and take a short walk in the garden.
Sounds like a good way to recharge. And what does she do in the afternoon?
After, after their lunch break, my mother continues working until about 5 p.m. Then she relaxes by reading a book.
That sounds very balanced. What does she do for dinner?
For dinner, my mother usually cooks a healthy meal with lots of vegetables. We often enjoy dinner as a family.
That sounds lovely. What about after dinner?
After dinner, my mother sometimes watches a movie or a series on TV. Then around 9 p.m. she gets ready for bed.
Very interesting. It is always interesting to learn about people's daily routines and how they spend time.